What's going on, everybody out there? Welcome back to another edition of Salescast, where we talk about sales, selling, for salespeople, by salespeople. With me and Mike Farber today is Sean Healy, former salesman, co-founder of Accounted For. Sean, welcome to Salescast. So Sean, why don't you let us know a little bit about yourself and what Accounted For does?
Of course. So I'm president of Accounted For. Basically, we simplify cash flow. So one of the biggest problems in the small business industry, middle market industry, is most entrepreneurs, when they get into business, they're getting into business because they have a skill, a passion, or an idea that they want to run with. They're not necessarily getting into business to run a business. Right. And unfortunately, in the market right now, there are not a lot of tools or resources to really help them make smart, data-driven decisions regarding their money. So what we found is the only real tools they have are, they can go purchase a bookkeeping system, which for most is pretty much in Latin for them, or they can hire an accountant, where the industry norm is they meet once, twice a year. So if we were to equate that to if your business was a car, that'd basically be like having a GPS that does not speak to you in English and only updates you every 365 miles. It's not an overly effective strategy. So where most professionals in the industry are really helping to bring insights by looking backwards, our goal is really to be able to provide technologies and different coaching models to really help entrepreneurs be able to be proactive and really be able to make smarter, more informed decisions and actually take action with that information.
Well, thanks for sharing that. We have a lot of salespeople that listen, and I want to ask you a question. So many reps and directors and VPs and just people in general in the sales environment have lost their job over the past 4 or 5 months. And we talked about this a little bit off screen. What is one of the best interview questions that you have given or have gotten a lot of feedback on? Because so many people are going to be interviewing now, and I think this would be a great tip.
No, of course. So the goal of your question should be to differentiate yourself. So one of the best questions that I found is asking either the hiring manager or whatever executive is in charge if they have a book recommendation that will help you get a jump start on the job. By asking that question, it actually says a lot of different things. A, it says that you're educating yourself. B, it says that you're thinking ahead. It's almost like an assumptive close. And a lot of times their answer can tell you a lot about the company as well. A lot of companies, they base their sales strategy off of a book. So for sales messaging, companies like ADP have based a lot of their messaging off of conversations that win the complex sale. You have other companies that have prospecting strategies based off of selling to Veto. And there's a lot of these big name books where people base everything off of. Having that information is extremely helpful, and most people don't ask that. Most people won't read a book in between 2 interviews just to make a good impression.
Now that's
a lost art, if you will.
Yeah,
I remember when I was at Concur, it was the Challenger sale. If you were getting into an interview process with Concur, you should be reading the Challenger sale.
100%. And I mean, mind you, sales professionals should be educating themselves ongoing, always being a student. But it just, as I said, it's one of those things that a lot of people do not take the extra step to really be able to read and show that they continue to educate.
And it's true that it's an easy step to take, right? And the part that I enjoy about reading is that it gives me ideas and thoughts that I could take throughout my life, not just with work. Are there any positive thoughts or ideas that you live by as you're building your company and going through the trials and tribulations?
Yeah, I mean, the one that's probably I say the most is perception is reality. So, I mean, at the end of the day, just because you think you had a great meeting doesn't always mean the meeting went great. One of the things with people with high, EQ or really try to, focus on empathy, you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes, and you have to understand that just because you saw it one way, they may not have. And kind of being self-aware and reminding yourself of that can be extremely important, especially in any type of a sales process. Another one that I love is price. So a lot of people are always afraid, or they try to discount. They're afraid to actually sell something on its full value. Price is just the meeting point between cost and value. So, a lot of people try to focus their pricing on cost, cost plus. If you can find a way to increase the value or the perceived value, pricing should never be a problem. And the other one is just, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them in that proportion. I'm pretty sure that's something my father used to tell me all the time. So it's just one of those things where, if you're not asking the questions, if you're always just giving answers or, giving insight before really diagnosing, that can be a problem. So those are things that I try to stay aware of and really try to, implement day to day, if you will. Just keep in mind.
Awesome. No, that's great insight. I really like the idea that price is just the meeting point. So many people get so worked up and nervous when delivering prices where you're just giving some information. They're not going to slam the door in your face. That's when negotiation happens, but you're just so afraid to give it. And I've been in the same shoes where I've been so nervous to give it, and there's a lot of pressure put on you. So the last question I have for you, and then we'll wrap this thing up, is what was the best piece of sales advice you've ever received?
So I can't remember whether I read it in a book or whether it was a past manager or mentor, but somebody once reframed sales for me. Everybody knows sales is walking a buyer through the buying process. And the way that they reframed it, and especially for when things are getting difficult from a sales perspective, you're having a bad month or a few months, they pretty much told me that I'm not paid to walk people through the buying process. I'm paid to be resilient. I'm paid to get rejected every single day. I'm paid to get said no to. I'm paid to deal with all the things that all other professions really do not have to deal with. And not only that I have to deal with that, but I have to wake up and I have to do it again the next day. And that resilience is really what, why I'm being paid what I'm being paid as a sales professional. And just kind of interpreting that, it really added some perspective to when you're having a bad month, a good month is coming if you're doing all the right things. But sometimes that can be a kind of a mental block, if you will.
And there's really no easy way to go through that. You get resilient by getting beat down and getting back up. Well, there you have it, everyone. Another episode of Salescast for salespeople by salespeople. This week's guest was Sean Healy of Accounted For. On behalf of Mike Farber, I'm Keith Campagna. We'll see you again soon. Thanks again.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.